All right, has Bitcoin bottomed? Has the SP 500 bottomed? Ethereum has it bottomed? People keep on asking, do you think the markets have bottomed and are we headed for a blow off top now? Let's have a look. As I keep on saying, right, I don't think this is the bottom, right? I keep on saying that I think this is an ABC pattern, right? Meaning we go A, B, and C, right? One more leg down. So the thing is, and I repeat once again, I'm showing the SP 500 here because it's obviously quite related to where Bitcoin's going, right? They basically bottom together on April the 7th and they top together somewhere in late July and they go down. And the SP 500 is about like 20x larger than Bitcoin, right? It's about 100x larger than Ethereum, so or more. So why would you think that they're not following the SP 500 or the Nasdaq, right? When calculation after calculation have shown you that the Bitcoin movements is basically about 85%, 90% correlated to the Nasdaq. Nasdaq follows the SP 500. We all know this. So as I've been saying, I think this is a gap fill. We've had the gap here, and we're filling the gap now, right? We're filling the gap now. Basically, we fill the gap. And in my opinion, we head down for one more leg. Doesn't have to be a big leg down like here. Can be a small leg down, but usually they go A, B, C, something like this, right? I could be wrong, but so far, this doesn't look like a bottom to me. This looks more like a bear flag. This being the flagpole and this being the flag, right? And we go down this one more leg. So basically, I still think this 608 area is where 608, 609 area is where we meet the first real bottom or resistance of the SP 500. And if I'm wrong, look, I can be wrong. If I'm wrong, then basically make sure you keep big bags of crypto. This is not a message to say to sell just because I think it is going lower. So let's get straight into Bitcoin and Ethereum, because some very interesting things are happening on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'll show you guys more signs of what I'm seeing from the whales, and it is quite alarming. I say alarming, so check it out. So Bitcoin, for folks who couldn't see it properly, I've added this resistance support line here, so now folks can see it properly. So look at this. I've been talking about this bull flag, yeah? So we've wicked, let's go logarithmic. We've wicked out of the bull flag and quickly came back in. And just to show that the market is not ignoring this bull flag, right? I drew it when it was around here, and that predicted the price bottom around here. And I predicted the price tops around here, and then I said we'd wick down, come back up, and even predicted this bottom here, right? If you're like a day trader trading the 3-minute charts or the 5-minute, 10-minute charts, then this is very helpful for you, because it predicted that bottom, and that top, predicted almost the exact bottom and tops for you, right? Now here we have another leg up, well, another day up, but notice all of this time, it is actually below this resistance line or support line. So the bull flag is what you've seen in my videos, in my Discord this whole time. But this support resistance level here, right here at 116, right? That's called 116.0, pretty much separates the upper half and the lower half. And so far on the bounce, we have not even managed to get above the lower half. We have not even managed to get above there. So that is a big problem. And Ethereum has kind of a similar problem, but ETH is obviously reacting stronger. So here is the ETH chart, right? And before we get onto the ETH chart, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo He-Man use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show your ID. That means even the exchange can't see who you are. That means like the IRS can't see you, tax office can't see you, the CIA, FBI, nobody can see you, right? So just by depositing, get 20% bonus. I've made this deal with them. Deposit $100, get $20 US, deposit $1,000, deposit $200 US, right? And by depositing, just by trading volume, win up to $18,000, right? Okay, limited time offer only. This ends on the 12th of August. And so obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. But if you're watching on another platform, that's okay. Just click on my profile page, and then there is my Stan link or link tree, and it should be the first deal that pops up. Okay, let's get back to the markets, folks. But keep in mind, this deal is only available on the Pablo Himan link. Only on the Pablo Himan link. Okay, so let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum basically is doing better than Bitcoin. Here's the thing, right? It popped above this 3,600 area roughly, right? On yesterday's dump, it's also closed above, and today we stayed above, right? If Bitcoin doesn't dump anymore, then I can see Ethereum just going up like this. But I don't think Bitcoin is going to finish where it is right now. I think there's one more dip in Bitcoin, right? An ABC pattern. So it's going to be, for ETH, well, someone in the ETH chart, I think it's going to be A, B, C, something like this. We retest 3,300, but realistically, we'll wick down, scare off the weak hands, go to like 3,200, 3,180, 3,190, something like this, and then bounce it back up and then go, right? And probably by then you can probably draw like a bull flag here, and up we go. So for Bitcoin, it's more obvious because I think we're doing an A, B, C pullback to something like 110.3, 110.5. As I've said many times now, this is the support level for me, 110.2 to 110.5K area. It can go lower, but I think we get stopped here, right? Something like this, and then bounce back in, and then we break through, and then up we go. Part of this theory is based on the fact that I don't think we have that much time left, because of the fact that I'm projecting a top in September to November in Bitcoin, and so it needs to get there in the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. So we don't have a lot of time left. So I personally don't think, and wouldn't like to think we see more of a pullback, something like this, go to 100K, 96K, and then go up. If that does happen, I'll have to reassess my whole entire projection. Like, some people are saying that Bitcoin tops in first quarter to 2026, or even second quarter 2026. That could happen. I mean, they're basing this off the 4-year cycle. That could happen, but that's not how I see things, and I think too many people see it that way. Too many people projecting a first quarter 2026 or second quarter 2026 top, and if that does happen, then I think then you'd have to say the majority of the market, right, got that right, and that rarely happens. Okay, so let's have a look at Ethereum and what these on-chain whales are doing. So I'll just adjust this chart a little bit so we can see it better here. So this is the net taker volume on Ethereum. Net taker volume, so basically we can see this has been what each chart has been like since 2020, since COVID lows. This was the COVID crash. And net taker, I'll just quickly explain it again for folks who haven't been following. So net taker is basically, you know how when whales buy or sell, they can't just do what you and I do, which is hit the market price, right? What they have to do is, when they're trading billions of dollars, like MicroStrategy or like Meta Planet or what are they called, BlackRock, they have to buy with orders below the market, or they have to sell with orders above the market, because if they sell all at once, it crashes the market. If they buy all at once, it pushes up the market too much. So basically, but when whales hit the spot price, like if they're selling, then they hit the bid, or if they're buying, they hit the offer price, then they're a taker. They're just taking the price that's being offered by the seller or the buyer. So that means they're in a hurry. And usually, look at this, when taker volume spikes like this, it's not retail people causing this, it's the whales causing this, right? It's the whales. So basically, it's like this, right? So these volumes, although it doesn't say whales, but I take that to mean whales because retails can't generate this much taker volume. So basically, look, when whales are in a hurry to buy, right, we can see here ETH price was just above 1,000. That's around 1,100, 1,200, and then it went to 4,000, right? This signal. And when ETH whales were eager to sell, this marked the top, right? And when ETH whales were eager to sell, this also marked the top. When ETH whales were eager to buy here, it marked the bottom. This was around like 900, 890 ETH and marked the bottom for this cycle. And look at this, when ETH whales were eager to sell here, they were eager to sell here, that marked the top. And especially when ETH whales were eager to sell here, right? This was when Trump got elected. This was December, January 2024, 2025, when Bitcoin hit 108K, 109K, and basically that's when ETH topped and it came down. That's when ETH topped and it came down. So these have been very good signals. But look at this here. We're now here on the second highest spike of all time. It is, and it's a bad spike. It's a net taker volume negative, meaning the whales are selling. And basically, the last time ETH spiked this much, it marked the top of April 2021. Right? It wasn't the ultimate top. That's the good news. I suppose the ultimate top when it happened when ETH was at 4,800 in October 2021. November 2021, I remember it was. October 2021. The spike wasn't actually that huge. This spike we're getting right now is actually higher than that spike. This is almost getting to be as high as the spike we got when ETH was at almost 4,100 back in December 2024 or early January, just before Trump, right after Trump got elected and just before Trump got sworn in. So this is a pretty alarming signal, right? I mean, I've been the one calling for a blow off top. I've been the one calling for altcoin season all this time. It's not something I want to see, but I want to present you guys with all the facts, right? Just so that I'm not being biased myself. So if there's one thing I could say about this, it's that like sometimes when we do see these heavy net taker sells, ETH rises, right? Still has a big run in the face of that. Even here, look at this. This was the run up, right? Remember how ETH was at around $1,300? That's when it bottomed. Then it hit $2,000, and then it hit $22,000, and then it had this massive run up, right, to 38,000, 39,000. This all happened in the last 3 months since April the 7th. And ETH whales have been selling. They just have not stopped selling. This, in fact, was the third highest selling, third or fourth, including this one, and this one. So that's pretty bad selling. So even though these signals tend to work pretty well, and we should be alarmed by this, but we can also point to times like this. And what about this one? This is when ETH hit its all-time high at 48,000. And we had pretty bad selling here as well, but it kept on going up. The eventual top, right, at 4,800 US dollars for ETH wasn't even that bad. It was like just barely here. Barely taller, deeper than this cell, right? And it was much shallower, nowhere near as deep as this cell, right? So here. So I just want to present you guys all with all the facts. As I've been saying, I'm the one calling for a blow off top, an altcoin season to come at the end of the blow off top, as it has done for the last 2 bull runs. But I never say it's 100%. I never say what Michael Saylor says, which is mortgage your house, bet your house on it. I never say that. I never say that, right? I always say, look, my investment philosophy is I have properties first, then I invest in stocks, then I invest in crypto, right? With some Bitcoin and then some altcoins. So altcoins come like fourth or fifth in my portfolio if you're including gold and silver and platinum as well. So basically, that's not even including the businesses that I have and the number of different businesses that I have. So basically, I understand for a lot of the folks who are watching my videos, they only have a few $1,000 or $10,000, and they really want to do a 50x, 100x so they can have 1 mil and buy their first house, right? That's a different situation. I understand that. I totally get it. But I've always been saying in my Discord, for the family man, just crypto is very risky. Stocks, probably less risky. Properties, less risky. But interest rates on the rise, so properties not as safe as before. Okay, so quickly, let's have a look at the Bitcoin short-term holder, long-term holder supply, right? That's what I'm gonna mostly focus on. This yellow line here, that's the short-term holders, right? And this blue zone here, that's the long-term holders. And I'm pretty sure by now folks understand how short-term holders behave and how long-term holders behave. Short-term holders, when they were, this is January 2025, December 2024, by the way, when short-term holders were piling in, buying, Bitcoin topped 108K, right? And that's when long-term holders were selling. And then they basically crossed path, and then basically short-term holders panic and they sold. This was in April 7th to April 20th, mid-April, right? And this was when long-term holders started buying, right? So, and that's when Bitcoin ran up all the way here to something like 112K again. So once again, long-term holders were selling when Bitcoin was 108K. Short-term holders were buying. Short-term holders were selling to panic, right? When Bitcoin was around 85, 87K, and long-term holders were buying, right? So, and once again, when Bitcoin dipped, this was around to 98K, long-term holders were making major buys and short-term holders were making major sells. And now, when Bitcoin hit 123K and it came back down to this 113, 114K area, short-term sellers started buying again, long-term holders started selling again. So again, it's not a good sign. But I will say this is not as big of a move as this. This is not as big of a move as this. This is not even as big of a move as this. This kind of a move is probably more like the kind of move in between the kind of move we had here to the kind of move we had here, right? In between this period, between late March and early to mid-April. So what I'm trying to say here is that yes, the long-term holders are starting to sell. They're not selling huge amounts like here, right? Yes, the short-term holders are starting to buy. They're not buying huge amounts like here, right? So it is something to keep in mind, but again, it's not a slam dunk 100% signal, right? Once again, I just like to watch this market a little bit more before we make up our minds. I have provided plenty of warnings. I think this is going down for one more leg, ABC leg down. I could be wrong, but I'm just showing you guys the evidence. I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm showing you the evidence and how I analyze things. It's about probabilities, it's about chances. And should there be more whale movements, I'm sure there will be in the coming few days or weeks. I'll keep you guys updated. So follow Pablo for more updates.